When you hear the word surrogacy, what comes to mind? Probably high tech clinics, IVF labs, and legal contracts. But what if I told you surrogacy is far from? We're not just talking about science, we are uncovering a deeply human story, one that connects the unseen mothers of history to the modern miracle makers helping families grow today. In today's world, when we hear word surrogacy, our minds often leap to images of cutting. The Code of Hammurabi, a Babylonian legal text from around 1754 BC, has provisions for what we might interpret as a form of surrogacy or an heir-bearing arrangement. If a wife was infertile, a husband could take a second wife or concubine to produce an heir, and that child would often be considered the child of the now what these examples of from the ancient one highlight is that the fundamental drive to overcome infertility, to secure an heir, to build a family has always been there. The methods were social, legal, and often dictated by the constraints of the time rather than medical. Moving into medieval period and beyond, while direct handmade arrangements became less formalized in Western societies, the societal pressure for progeny, especially male heirs for aristocratic lines, remained immense. Infertility was often seen as a curse or a fault of the women, and the stakes for a childless couple, particularly a noble one, were incredibly high. Though not surrogacy in the modern sense, there were informal arrangements, and children born outside of marriage were sometimes brought into the main household to secure an heir, often acknowledged by the principal wife. These arrangements were driven by pragmatic concerns for inheritance and the continuation of power. Related, though distinct practice that persisted for centuries was wet nursing. While not about conceiving or birthing a child for another, it involved another woman providing fundamental life sustaining care, feeding for a child who was not her own biological offspring. Now, this highlights a historical comfort with separating the biological mother from the primary caregiver, driven by social status, health, or economic necessity. In many cultures, especially in larger households or communities, there were established roles for women who would take on significant child rearing responsibilities for children not biologically their own. While these were more akin to extended family care or nannying, they show a flexibility in the definition of mother and family that extended beyond strict biological ties, demonstrating that the needs of the family could transcend biological creation. The common thread here is the societal imperative for children for family continuation. Without medical knowledge we have today, solutions were found within social structures, sometimes through desperate measures, but always with that driving goal of nurturing new life within the family unit. The 20th century marked a profound shift. The ancient desire for surrogacy met unprecedented scientific advancement. The term surrogacy itself derived from surrogate, meaning a substitute, began to gain prominence in the early to mid 20th century as medical possibilities started to emerge. Early forms of modern surrogacy began with artificial insemination. In 1940s and 50s, a woman might be artificially inseminated with the sperm of the intended father, carrying the child and then handing it over. This was known as traditional surrogacy because the surrogate was also the biological mother of the child. But the real game changer came in 1978 with the birth of Lewis Brown, the world's first IVF baby. In vitro fertilization, where fertilization happens outside the body, opened up a whole new world of possibilities. It meant that an embryo could be created from the intended parent's genetic material or from donors and then transferred into the uterus of a different woman. This was the birth of gestational surrogacy. Gestational surrogacy, where the surrogate has no genetic link to the child she carries, became the most common form in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. It resolved many of the complex emotional and legal issues surrounding the genetic link in traditional surrogacy. With these medical leaps came the necessity for new legal and ethical frameworks. The first official gestational surrogacy agreement in the United States was in 1985, leading to the birth of baby M in 1986, which sparked massive legal and ethical debates that shaped modern surrogacy laws globally. This period was characterized by navigating complex questions of parenthood. Today, US facilities are at the forefront of gestational surrogacy, offering not only advanced medical procedures but also comprehensive legal and psychological support, ensuring the process is as ethical and transparent as possible for all parties involved. So, what we have learned from our journey through time, that while the term surrogacy and the scientific marvels behind it are truly modern, the fundamental human desire for family, for children, and for overcoming the challenges of infertility is an ancient impulse. From the arid plains of Mesopotamia to the sterile labs of modern clinics, the spirit of surrogacy of another woman helping to bring life into a family has always been present. The unseen mothers of history, whether handmaids or modern gestational carriers, have played a vital role in the continuation of families, lineages, and ultimately humanity itself. They are a testament to compassion, resilience, and the enduring power of dreams. Our understanding and practice have matured, becoming more ethical, safer, and more inclusive. But the heart of the matter, the desire for a child, remains as timeless as ever. If you or someone you love is exploring surrogacy, don't wait. Visit MediPocketSurrogacyUSA.com to schedule a private consultation. Our expert team will walk you through the entire journey from choosing the right clinic, egg donor, to legal protection, surrogate coordination, and bringing your baby home. You're not alone on this path, and with MediPocket Surrogacy USA, you'll never have to be.